time shot, it's time shot. I'm in the place where my friends are, and I know together we'll go far. Yeah, time shot, it's time shot, and I'm still doing things the time shot way.
Hello, people. It's Poet, and we are back on Time Shot. Now, one of the things I wanted to maybe... I can't do it without MK's approval, I feel like. Can I get a boat? Can I swing over there somehow? How do I swing over there? Easily enough. Run, rabbit, run! How can... Without a boat... You know what? I'll just wait until I get to my base, and then I'll swing over to MK's. It's probably the easiest. But let's listen. I have nothing to talk about today. Nothing. Not even kidding. There's nothing on my mind. There's nothing. That's a good problem to have, right? Let me actually just fix this pathway right quick. Holes everywhere. I was kind of I was using my shovel here, and it's really, see how fast it is? It's very difficult to get the proper amount of sand. Oh man, this just end up ahead. Oh, let's grab as much sand as we can and just fix the little holes. There we go. Fixed it. Oh, there's more. Of course there's more. But anyway, yeah, I don't have anything to talk about today. But I still wanted to record this. It's just one of those feelings, and I've talked about those feelings before, where if you feel like recording something as a YouTuber, it's sort of mandatory that you do it. Like, if right now I wanted to record Ninja Turtles or something, that's what I should do. Even if I don't necessarily have to post it for several days, if I feel like doing it, I should. And that's one of the reasons why, like, for example, there's going to be a Windcraft episode releasing today. And I recorded that one probably a week ago now. The last 3 episodes, I recorded all in one sitting. Like, I would record the first one, and then I'd hit stop, and then I'd take a sip of coffee or something, and then hit start again and start recording. And I loved that. It felt like I wanted to play it, and so I did, and it was enjoyable. And you know what? I think that when you are enjoying what you do, it gets conveyed in what you do. So, like, if I was working at a restaurant, let's say, as a chef, okay, just as an example, and I really enjoy making food, I really enjoy cooking, I have the passion for it, for the creativity, for the experience, for everything. If I really enjoy it, then I think that will show in the food that I make. People will be pleasantly surprised by what they eat on account of, you know, just the way that I make the food. And same goes for me making videos, is that, you know, the more happy I am during a recording, the better it feels to you guys, I'm sure. So, when we last left off, I was working on the mountain over here. Oh, man. It was like 40 minutes in, and I'd done just like the little top part. So since then, I worked on it a little bit more, and we're now about halfway down. But I think I'm going to tackle it a little bit differently from now on. I kind of found an easier way when I was doing over here, which I'll show you in a second. But I found that if I stand up there, okay, so we're standing up there, and I position myself, and I drop down, and then I drop down, and I do these 3, maybe all of these little cluster here, and then I drop down, and I do like this section, okay, and then I'm at the bottom, and then I go all the way back up, and then I'll drop down like maybe right here, and do this little cluster, and then I'll go back up, and then I'll drop down right here, and do this little part, this little slope right here, and like, you do it in segments is way easier than what I was trying to do And look at that. I forgot a little piece of coal up there and there. But it's way easier than what I was trying to do, where I was like pillaring across and just trying to get it all along. It works better if you just do it in segments. So that's something I learned kind of the hard way, because I was working on this main pillar right here. This pillar of stone. Right here. So this is, look at how much I did right here. It looks like a lot, but there wasn't actually a lot of dirt. Mostly just around this segment right here. There was some dirt. And then up along here, this was all dirt where my cursor is right now. So you can see that I've gone in segments. And in fact, it even looks like there's a straight line cut. I just realized. It looks like there's a straight line cut where I kind of left off. And same with here. Like I started up there and then I did a straight line cut along. And you can see where I'm starting to do it over here too. Where I just started to go along. And then I'll go through the middle. So I can kind of maybe work on that today a little bit. And, or should I work on this a little bit more to show you guys sort of what my plans are for it? Maybe that's a good idea. Let me see where I should start here. Maybe right here, because it'll be easiest for me to get to. See, like little, I'm going to be finding, I just know this already. See, you can see I did all along the bottom there, but I didn't do the middle. I'm sure that when I'm all done, I'll be finding like little pieces of dirt here and there that I've missed. It won't ever be perfect. I'll have to rely on my Enderman friends to take out what dirt they can. But it's never going to be perfect. Yeah, I'm going to do this little segment right here. This little section right here. So for this, I need to grab some diorite. And I don't really know when or how this idea came to me. I was in creative mode. Not on the server, but in single player. I have a world that that's how I built my little automatic smelter. I went into this creative world and started building it there, and how I built the pathway. I went into that world and then played with a few ideas and stuff, because it's easier to do that. And I've always in the past said, well, I don't do that. I don't go into creative and test things out and stuff. But for this build, for this season of TimeShot, I've been doing it completely opposite to how I usually do. I've not been afraid to go into creative, try things out, try new things. Just to kind of play with it and see if it works. That's how I discovered that the birch looks pretty good in the savannah. And that's how I figured out that this was kind of the pathway that I was going to go with. One of the three that I had figured out. But at the same time, I kind of have to be a little bit careful with how I do that, because I found already that like I'll come up with an idea, and once I've come up with the idea, I'll be like, wait a minute. You know, those I can't get those on TimeShot. They're just too rare, or it's just too difficult. One of the main ones so far are the sea lanterns. Like, that's why this has those hanging pillars down underneath it. It's because there are supposed to be Guardian Temple sea lanterns hanging off the bottom of them. For sure, I want to have sea lanterns in the builds to light this place. You know, I don't want so many torches. I've come up with a few ideas for what I can do for lighting in this area, but they all rely on sea lanterns. The unfortunate thing, I can't get any on TimeShot right now. At least not in any easy way. You know, I mean, I could get a bucket of milk or two, grab some milk. You go with milk to a Guardian Temple because they remove the mining fatigue that the Guardians place on you. You go with protection, full protection armor, water breathing potion, and you should be set with a Silk Touch pick. Or Silk Touch anything, really. You should be set if you get a couple buckets of milk, maybe 4 or 5 buckets of milk, maybe 1 or 2 water breathing potions of 2 minutes or so, and then Silk Touch, water breathing, the water breathing potion, Silk Touch. Like, you should be pretty set. But, whoops, I just haven't, like, I'm kind of waiting for code to finish the Guardian farm. Once that's done, then it'll just be infinite supplies. So why am I going to go and risk my life and my armor and my everything I've got for a few sea lanterns? Of course, it would sure make this place look good. Maybe next episode. Next episode. Well, we're here in the Guardian Temple. I might even look up how to make a water-breathing potion. I'm not sure on the recipe right now, but yeah, it might be a good idea. It doesn't sound... As I was saying it, I was like, oh, I don't want to do it because it's so difficult. And then as I was saying it, it doesn't sound very difficult. Let's put some of these back. There. That's all that I need. I'm getting so much stone. Like, I thought at first that I was going to be kind of low on stone. Look at this one. This one's even done already. So let's grab a couple of those, throw them in there. Grab a couple of those and throw those in there too. Just to kind of get all three moving. Look at this. Look. Insane. I could actually make these double chests, in fact, for what it's worth, because of how much they collect. Like, I could go like that and then put a trap one and then put the other one. I could. There's just that much stone involved. I even could, let's be honest, I could funnel all of them into one chest if I really, really wanted to. But I don't want to. It's not supposed to be like a hugely permanent thing. It's just for this project, really. So let's start here, actually. 7. And go like this. So I wanted to tell you guys a story. It's one that I actually had just told Jake yesterday, and as I was telling it, I was laughing, thinking like, why haven't I told people this story before? And it's sort of a story of embarrassment. But it's one that every time I think about it, I get a chuckle out of it. So what you guys probably know is that for a while I was a manager in IT for a sales company, and we were a nationwide company. So I traveled for the job, and you know, that's basically it. I had to travel quite a bit for work and meet with reps from essentially all over the country. And one of the things that happened, we had this rep in from the West Coast. And again, I'm in central Canada, so, you know, that's not a small flight. He was over to meet with me, and important meeting. This big player from the West Coast he was actually a rep selling a bunch of other products that were going to help us out later on. But what happened is he came and met with me, and there was I was the guy who was meeting him. So he showed up to the office, and right away was like, you know, okay, I sit him down in a waiting room or in the meeting room, and I'm being a good host to him. And I'm like, okay, well, do you want anything to drink? You know, do you want coffee? You know, water? What would you like? I'm being a gracious host. And this guy, he says, well, you know what? I haven't had my coffee today. Oh, and I could sure use some coffee. You know, I got out of the hotel and right away came over here. I'm so exhausted from my flight. I could so use a coffee right now, if I'm going to be honest. Like, that's what he said to me. And I was like, oh, okay, I can relate. I think that's a great idea. I'll get you that coffee. Hold on a second. So I go off, and we had this little, like a breakfast nook, like a little dinette or kitchenette, whatever you want to call it, where you have like it's a little room in the office, and it's got things like a fridge, and it's got a stove, and, you know, basic necessities, coffee pot, and so on. I go in there, and right away realize, uh-oh, there's no coffee on. Like, usually we had a pot of coffee going. There was none. And so I was like, oh, man, there's no coffee on right now. Well, never fear. I can use this. There must be something I can do. I could put on a pot of coffee, or what can I do? I open the cabinet. There's no coffee. There's no coffee whatsoever. I couldn't even make a pot if I wanted to. All right? So I'm freaking out, like, uh-oh, what am I going to do? I can't go back and say, like, I can't say to the guy, hey, do you want a coffee? And then come back and say, sorry, we don't have coffee. We're all out. That would just be, it would be rude, you know? And it would show that I was unprepared. And that was, I think, one of the biggest things, is that I didn't want to seem like a complete noob. I think it was it must have been one of my first big meetings. And I didn't want to seem like a complete and utter noob about it. So I didn't want to seem like I was unprepared. I wanted to look professional. And already it was falling apart. Already I was feeling like, oh crap. What am I going to do? There's no coffee here. I was digging through cupboards in the little kitchen room, and it's like, oh, here we go. I found some instant coffee. Great. Can make instant coffee. It's passable, you know. If you've had real coffee and then you have instant coffee, you can tell there's a difference, but it's not that bad, you know. If you're not picky, it's not that bad, honestly. It's certainly about as good as that Keurig stuff, and people consume that by the barrelful. So that was great. Now, one of his requests for this coffee was that he wanted 2 cream, 2 sugar. A good old Canadian double-double, you know? It's what we call it here. It's probably what they call it everywhere, but I, always have called it double-double. It seems to be a Canadianism. Otherwise, you call it 2 cream, 2 sugar, or a 2 and 2. But always call it double-double in Canada. It's what we know. It's what we do. Okay, so we asked for a double-double. And, all right, that seems reasonable. I can get him that. Open the fridge. There's no cream. There's no cream. So not only did we not have a pot of coffee, now I'm starting to realize pretty quickly why we didn't have a pot of coffee on, because we were completely out of everything. Did not have cream. He wanted 2 cream. Oh, but I found some powdered milk. Like that, that powdery fake instant milk stuff? We had some of that. I don't know why we had all this instant milk and instant coffee and stuff, but we had some. So, all right, he's got this instant coffee, and you know what? Fine, I'll put instant milk. I don't know what a double-double is in powder terms, so I just took 2 tablespoons, which I was then informed by Jake that 2 tablespoons is more like 6 rather than 2. So I put 2 tablespoons of instant milk, the powdered milk, into his instant coffee. All right. And okay, that seems to be working. It looks right in the mug. And so, it's working all right. Okay, next, he wanted 2 sugar. Open up the cabinet, and yep, you got it already. There was no sugar. There was no sugar. How could there not be any sugar? I mean, it's like one of the necessities of life in a kitchen. No sugar. None. So, again, panic. What am I going to do? There's no sugar. This guy wants his coffee. There's got to be something. Digging through the cabinets again. I find, it's just as bad. It's so bad. I found stevia. Stevia. Now, if you've ever had stevia, you would know, like, it's not the same. Is the best way to put it. It's not the same. It's a lot sweeter and just generally not sugar. Like, you can tell that it's not sugar. You can tell this is a substitute. But that's what we had. And so, okay, I'll put 2 packets of stevia in his instant coffee with instant milk. What could possibly be wrong with that? I started mixing it together. It looked so bad. Like, really bad. It started to separate itself somehow. And I don't know if it was because, maybe it was just a weird mix, or maybe the coffee it curdled the fake milk, or I don't know what, but it started to separate, and it started to look all clumpy and weird. So I'm freaking out again. Like, oh crap, what do I do? So I took a fork and I start whisking it. I start whisking the coffee to get these chunks out. There were like little powdery chunks from either the sugar or the cream or even the coffee itself. Little powdery chunks. So I'm trying my best to get rid of these powdery chunks. I finally managed to do it to the best of my abilities, as good as I can get it. And by that point, like, it had been a while. Like, this guy's waiting. He's waiting for his coffee. It had been a while already. Like, say 15 minutes. It had been that he's been just sitting in the waiting room in our little meeting room waiting for his coffee. Like, what's taking him so long? He must know at that point that something has gone terribly wrong with his coffee. His suspicions are already high. I come out and hand him the coffee, if you can even call it a coffee at that point. At which point he graciously takes it and has a sip. Now, the look on his face as he took a sip of this coffee could only be described as a look of sheer fear, as his eyes met with mine, as I studied his face to see whether or not it had been passable. A look of fear crept upon it. He gave me a glance that only lasted a moment, but it told me that I have now been poisoned. Like, I am now drinking something that my body does not like. What is this? This is horrible. And keep in mind that before I gave him the coffee, before I offered it to him, he was saying, like, oh, I could really use a coffee. I so badly need it. I haven't had my coffee fix for today. I really could use it. Keep that in mind. He had one little sip of that coffee, and then put it down. Never touched it again. I don't know what that combination would taste like. I really don't want to find out. I know that Jake had told me, you know what, you should find instant coffee, instant creamer, and instant stevia sugar. Mix them all together. Make it and mix it all together and just taste it so that you can now know what this poor guy had to go through. For me, it turned out to be just absolutely hilarious as I think back on that. To think, like, it would have been so easy for me to just go to the guy and say, oh, by the way, we ran out of coffee. Would you mind having an instant coffee? Or even to go so far as to, treat him out to a coffee somewhere else, go to a Tim Hortons, get a coffee. Would that be a crime? Would that be so bad? But I was new to this game. I didn't know things. I thought I was acting in his best interests. I had no idea. I had no clue. I was so inexperienced. But to this day, I keep thinking back, of all the memories I have of working there as a manager. The day that I poisoned the rep with the terrible coffee, the look of fear, sheer terror on his eyes. It's so amazing. So that was my story that I wanted to tell you guys. I don't know how else I was going to fit it into like normal conversation, but I was like, I've been wanting to tell you guys that story for so long, and I just keep forgetting. And then there's never like, when I'm in the middle of like, yeah, I think gender equality is really important. Oh, by the way, guys, let me tell you the story about coffee. You know, at what point in a TimeShot episode would that come up? You know? So I'm glad that I actually had nothing to talk about today and could actually then talk about this. So let's take a look at what I'm doing here. You can see that I'm littering the side of it with diorite. Actually, that kind of looks super uneven there. Let's fix that up before I take more looks at it. Super uneven. Let's do one right here. One right there. Okay. And actually, what I'm supposed to be doing also is like this too. With this. The polished in and around it. Okay. Sort of like that. And we can drop down. Drop down. And let's break out a few more. I don't want it to be too cluttered, so I should have probably been a little bit more conservative with the diorite, honestly. Looking at this now. But it's alright. I can always fix it. It's not difficult to fix. Just break a few places. Like so. And then if we just kind of litter it back and forth. Okay. Oh, let's grab that right there. Let's get back up. See, I wanted to sort of do this kind of a design, if you can call it a design. After I played around with this in creative mode, and what really made this design look great was just the contrast between the more chiseled polished blocks and the non-polished blocks, and just how they complement each other. Yeah, this is gonna look good when those little tiny floating glitchy particles are not all over the place. That's gonna look all right. I got to do a little bit more down there to even it out. You might think this looks kind of tacky, kind of, why are you doing this? You're ruining it. You're ruining it. But trust me, it's going to look good. Because what I'm going to do next, let's do that while we still have a few minutes before we make half an hour episode. If that's my goal in life. So we've done that side. What I'm going to then do, let's put away maybe these diorite blocks for now. What I'm then going to do is grab these birch leaves. So I've got a bunch of them. I don't have enough yet. I'm going to have to make myself a birch tree farm, or just go back to that sort of little forest that I've been pulling these leaves from and go ham on it. There's a little leafy area right near the dirt cert, as me and Edsing have called it. A little forest there, and I've been pulling all the birch leaves from there. I might just go and finish that off and then work on something else. So what I've been doing is kind of going like this. So you cascade it down in a way that it doesn't necessarily touch any of the diorite, and that sort of just helps my eyes sort of figure out, let's actually break it off right there. Helps my eyes actually figure out a random pattern, more or less, to the leaves. Let's go back up. Let's do one from the same kind of spot, but this time we'll go down this way, Whoa, fell a little bit. Can I even get that block? Ugh. Don't know if I can. I fell too soon. See, and this is going to be the most difficult part when I'm doing way up there, for example, or placing things like this. Yeah, let's go down like that. There we go. Okay. And then just, let's go down like that. And then maybe like that even. All right. So that is the idea. And when we take a step back and look at it, look how cool that'll look. I'm going to have another one probably cascading down there. Let's go ahead and do it. Because I think I'm done with the diorite here. Oh, I don't have any polished diorite. Darn. Well, I'll add some in later. I'll add some in later. Okay. And then like that. Kind of just cascading down. Come down like that. Okay, cool. So now we've got this wicked looking biome feature that definitely doesn't look like, I forgot a block there too. It definitely doesn't look like a savanna anymore once we've replaced all the dirt with this kind of a scheme with the stone and then with the leaves and the diorite. I think this looks really cool. And it's going to look really, really awesome on a big mountain like this one, for example, when I finish that one up there. Picture all of that, just nothing but stone, diorite, nice big leaves coming down them. Oh, it's going to look super different. I can't wait to finish that off and figure out how this is all going to look. But it is a lot of work. Like you guys saw just how much time. It's been a 32-minute episode as of this second. At least on my recording software it shows that. And I've done a total of like that. Just like that little bit. And that's not even with the polished blocks yet. That's not with the polished blocks. That's not with the leaves coming down it yet. Once it's all done with the leaves and the polished blocks and stuff, it's going to look really cool coming down. Cascading down. I heard a zombie. Threw me off. I don't want it to look speckled though. I'm trying to replicate, like, this is natural diorite right here. I would like it to more look like that a little bit than to look speckled like that looks. So it's going to take a lot of finessing, a lot of work, probably a lot of me coming back saying, oh no, that looks terrible, and then running back and fixing it. That's what it's all going to involve. There's a lot of me having to do, you know, off-camera digging like this, and then, you know, fill it all in, and then like this, and fill that in. It's just a lot of work. But I'm glad that I can at least show you guys some of the work on camera, even if it feels like torture. But there we go. This is sort of just a building episode. Show you guys what my plans have been and will continue to be. And hopefully you guys can agree that it sort of looks good. I hope so. You know, not looking so much at that, because that looks sort of bad and speckled and stuff. This part right here. But certainly, I think I did an all right job right here. Yeah, that looks pretty good, I think. That looks pretty good. Looks good. All right, and I think that's where we're going to end the episode, guys. So like this video, comment below, do all those other awesome things you people do, and we'll see you next time on TimeShot. Bye-bye!